Welcome back to Watching the Throne, episode 18 with JT and Nico.
Nice. Welcome
Jump,
back.
my jump is my trigger finger, so it gets a little sticky there when I have to jump at the end there. Like I'm bringing the volume down. I'm trying to slide it with the mouse, and then my palm gets stuck on the desk, and it skips through. It makes it sound a little crappy, but I try.
You're getting the hang of it, Jay. You're getting the hang of the setup over there. To practice makes perfect, right, guys?
I got so much shit to look at now. Yeah, it's a little fucking nuts, man.
Good. It's great to have it all at your fingertips. But welcome back, everybody. This is
I'm just going like this.
episode 18 of Watching the Throne, where me and Jay discuss Game of Thrones episode by episode. JT, believe it or not, is watching the show for the very first time. And I'm watching it for the second time. I've never gone back and rewatched this show after the first time it aired on TV. I'm pretty sure I haven't rewatched anything ever during my time watching the show. So this has been interesting for me as well in that regard. And we basically break down episode by episode, talk about them, give you our thoughts on them, and hopefully you're joining us along the journey here. And, we drop these weekly for you guys. Make sure to hit that like button, that thumbs up button here. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell to be notified of when they drop every week. But normally they've been coming out on Thursdays steadily every week. So,
Hey, did I get rid of some of that noise in the background or what?
mm, yeah, kind of. And then it came back for a moment there. I don't know what you're doing over there.
Yeah, I know. I just trying to see if it worked, but I mean, it's there. It's gonna be there for a bit. It's my sensitivity on this mic has to be so loud for me. It's picking up little fucking noise, and I hate it, man. It drives me nuts. I know it. I don't want to piss you. I don't. That's why I want to make sure it sounds right.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good. So,
All
yeah,
right.
at, we're going to be talking about season 2, episode 8 here today. And sorry, which this is called The Prince of Winterfell.
Yes, it is.
And not a man without honor. That's from last time.
That was the last. Yeah, that was the last episode we
This
did.
episode is The Prince of Winterfell, this one. And of course, we figure out what that means here in a moment before we get into the episode. But Jay, what'd you think of this one?
This one was pretty neat. This one was, like I said, I feel like there's tensions building and there's kind of a storyline building that after you said last episode that, the craziness starts after season two. Um, I feel like there is sort of tensions and stuff that is building right now in certain aspects. If you really, if you're really paying attention to it, and yeah, it's nice to see that they're, hopefully, it's going to get crazier. Like I said, this one's been a lot to follow this season. They're throwing a lot at you, and I don't know how much of it's going to be carrying on through all 8 seasons, but um, you try to suck in as much as you can right now, right? So I'm trying to suck in everything and get used to people and all these new people they're introducing and things they're introducing. And yeah, it's been a fun watch, man. I can't deny that. I mean, it's been a fun watch so far.
Yeah, I thought there were some good scenes in this one, in particular, and some other things that I completely forgot about, which were really interesting in this one. I thought there's some moments where I have no recollection of. So this is kind of where it's interesting for me because some things I remember when I'm rewatching them, and I also know sometimes where they're going before they get to the moment in the scene, and what's about to happen. But like, there's certain things like in this episode, for instance, where I completely forgot about, and it kind of it feels like I'm experiencing it for the first time, kind of as well, right, as a viewer. So it's been fun in that regard. Some of these episodes, not everything, but every now and then, there's a couple of things that whether they be smaller scenes or just like certain details or even stuff now that I know the characters more, I know the world more. Now that I'm revisiting it, I'm getting more out of it. Whereas before, maybe I was confused as to who they're referencing or who the people were that we were watching, right? So I think it's more that than anything a lot of the times, but still, it's been
Well, I don't think the audience out there really is too worried about if you've missed it, if you're not getting every scene out of it because you did already watch it, but they don't expect you to remember every scene that you. So it's nice that you did forget a few, and it's like you're rewatching it for the first or watching it for the first time because it makes it that much more interesting again. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, exactly. No, so it's been
So
good. So, anyways, without further ado, we'll get into the episode, guys, and
bear with me because my reading's gonna fucking really be off this episode.
Jay's getting old, guys. I think he needs bifocals.
Oh man, they're art honestly doing REM. It looks like I'm scrolling through my phone, looking at my computer screen. It's just hilarious. This is, when you don't get proper sleep, guys, learn to get your sleep.
There you go. Theon starts this episode starts off with Theon once again. He has his sister visit him in Winterfell with a bunch of her
What
men.
a bitch.
Barges in, then just basically starts attacking him. Judges him for killing a 6-year-old and a cripple, as she puts it.
Yeah,
Calls him a dumb cunt for killing the Starks.
they use cunt a lot in this actual scene. There's a lot of cunt using in this word in the scene. It's great, man. I mean, I think I told you. I think I don't like the word, but I also think it's a great word to hear when other people say it. So,
I don't like saying it myself, or like I don't
no.
my friends, but again, different time
Hey,
and place, right? And
hey, if you deserve it, you deserve it. Hey, I mean, I call it, if the kettle's black, you call it black.
the different time and place. I'm not even gonna comment on that. Different time and place, and
I think I said it wrong.
yeah, you did. Like usual, there's another JTism there for you, but different time and place, and as well as there's also the English that like to throw around the word as well. So, anyways, you listen. He, in response to this, he tries to warn her that she's gonna get put in her place, and that's when a lot of her men there basically rise to the occasion almost because he's talking back to her, right? And that's their
Yeah,
leader.
yeah,
And as you can tell already in this scene, like his men are very few and her men are many that show up. So in a sense, as soon as they come to Winterfell, even though he's taken over Winterfell with 20 men, as he likes to boast in this scene, barely holding on to it. I mean, he's struggling clearly, and he's like, and she's to that point, she's trying to make a fool of him by pointing out the fact that yeah, you killed these children because they opposed you, but like what are you really holding down here? First of all, second of all, we're people of the sea. Like we're not even powerful in this region in that sense. Like you are so far from the sea in this area, like they
yeah,
came in on horses to kind of greet him because Winterfell is a winter area, like is a fucking frozen area in terms of like the seasons around here, right? Because there's the summer, the one that got all the sun and the summer seasons and all that as they refer to
yeah.
summerlands
There's
and
still there's still an equator, I think, in this world. So I'm
sure.
pretty sure the closer to the equator they are, the less snow they're getting, right?
Well, this is a shit spot for them, essentially, she's saying, right? And in response, she says, like, listen, no, I'm here because father actually wants you to return because you fucked up by doing this, and this is not cool what you did here, and he wants you to come back, right? He's disapproving.
But he's like so wants her to, so proud. He wants the father to be so
Respect,
proud that he
like,
took over.
respect. Yeah,
Well, that he took over Winterfell, like took over. I'm doing with little quotations, like in
he
my
and
bunny
20
ears,
men have taken
with
over.
20 men. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like what the fuck, but then he goes and kills the most important things, bargaining tools.
Yeah, his father wants him. Yeah, exactly. That's what they're saying. His father wants him home, and he thinks that it was a mistake, and she then after this she says basically leave us the room, like so everyone fucking leaves the room, all of her men and his men leave, and she kind of actually talks with him privately for once and actually serious
Yeah,
for once and says, listen, you're still my brother, blah blah blah. Just please come back because you're making a mistake by staying here, essentially, like she tells him like wholeheartedly. and
it
and
is a pain in the ass, baby.
and he just, yeah, and she says, I remember when you were younger, basically calls him a crybaby. And because he throws it back in her face, he's like, listen, I'm not coming back. I'm ruler here of Winterfell. That's basically where he gets the name of the Prince of Winterfell, as he's referred to in this scene, right? And she's just basically, go on your way. Like I got things here, in order here. Like don't worry about me, essentially. Fucking, he's like,
Yeah.
fuck you. So,
Yeah,
uh,
it was a really good moment. She said that he used to cry all the time. That's what I thought was pretty deep. I didn't think they were going there without those two, to be honest with you, because of the bullshit that she's been. But I don't know what her motives are, to be honest, as well, because she did that. That when you looked up at me, you stopped crying, in a sense, right? So I thought that was a pretty cool scene in that sense. Like it was really well written out, or really well delivered by them too, or whatever it was. So sorry, I wrote that down, so I wanted to throw that in there.
oh yeah, no, of course. And then from there, we cut to a scene with John, who's now been brought to the tribe of wildlings, essentially, and their leader basically says to gut him, as he shows up. And their leader's kind of cool. He's got like a bones for a face, like he has like actual human skull bones like over his face, and he has bones for like an armor plate essentially on him, right? So he's kind of geared up with all these like human remains, it seems like. Is that a picture of him? Perfect. Yeah, really cool looking, really cool looking. I thought that was
Yeah,
really interesting looking character, that his presence in this scene, right?
I'm trying to see. Like I was looking at that was a big part of my thing when I actually paused it around this scene. I didn't know there was a picture on you and thing of it, but you see that the mask there. It's got to be like I'm looking at it as like a monkey, right? It's got to be right because I can't see it being anything else, like a
Why would there be
fucking
monkeys out in the fucking cold, man? It's not a monkey,
a
but it's not.
chimpanzee of like a gorilla of some sort, bro. Look at the face. I mean, I don't know how I can't zoom up on it, but if I could, I would. But honestly, it looks like a gorilla, up
Well,
except for the jaw piece, right?
is like Himalayan, like there is certain, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like some, like you said, gorilla more
So,
likely, or apes. Essentially, there is some of them in northern regions, like ones that are cold and stuff like that. So maybe it could be, but like, yeah, it's just a cool getup. And you could tell that he has nice fur on too, because obviously they skinned some animals and he's actually rocking some fur too. So, and they live out here, so they need to keep
nice and
warm.
warm.
So yeah, exactly. So he looks good. Just a sick getup. I was like, that's, you could tell just looking at their group, like who's in charge, the way this guy was dressed. You know what I mean? So like, I thought that was really good presence on the screen when he showed up. I was like, oh, that's really cool, right? So it stuck out to me. I made a note about it. So yeah, it kind of made an impression in that sense. And like you said, even you, right? So
Yeah, I had to stop it because I wanted to see what the bones were. Like I was looking at the animals, even on kind of like his get up there on his body, and what kind of if other heads were on there, and you could see some like stouts with like a it could be like some sort of bull uh
out is what you're.
deer, sorry, an elk or deer, like something smaller hanging on the side. But yeah, this was kind of flat. If you look at it, goes right into the teeth bone. So it looks kind of like an ape. That's what I mean. Because it has those, or orangutan of some sort, because it's got those flat cheeks, the bones, right? I don't know. I was looking into it a lot. Like I didn't realize now too, this picture is so much more detailed than what I was looking at on the screen. So I don't know. It really caught my attention. I thought it was cool. I'm trying to think of what kind of these fucking animals are in these. How much more different stuff? Like and if you think there's big wolves in here, there's probably, and there was big dragons at one point. There's probably big gorillas somewhere around too, right?
I can't recall seeing any in the series. You never know. Maybe I forgot.
But maybe we'll see it in House of the Dragon. Yeah, House of Dragons. So who knows? They
Uh,
were they were killed off with the dragons.
but then Egret, which is her name, I was calling her Wildling Woman in the last episode. I forgot her name there. Egret. She basically mentions that she kind of intervenes because of the fact that her leader wants to gut Jon Snow in response of her bringing him there. She mentions that that he was Ned Stark's bastard, and that kind of really. He's like, oh, really? Like when she says that, right? So maybe they think they're going to use him for bartering tools or something. I don't know, basically. And you find out that they've also captured the Rangers previously, because his leader of the Rangers is there. But most
Yeah,
the rest of them are all dead, and that is thanks to Jon Snow, which he brings up the fact that, like, yeah, because of you, we got caught too, and
the only
and,
guy left.
like he knows that he hesitated, and he's kind of like, he's not really pissed so much as like, he mentions the fact like he had previously told him,
They
this
beat him
is
up pretty
yeah,
good.
there he is. Yeah, he had told him previously like this is what we're here for. Like these type of things can happen. Like he had warned John about this previously, right? So it seems like
Yeah.
he already accepted his fate in this whole thing, right? So
Well, John was like, I couldn't do it. He had, as soon as he seen him right on the ground, when he was tied up and next to him, beside him, right when they knocked him down beside him, because he asked where the other guys were, and they're all basically dead. It's like fuck, man, all because they went back to look for John. You
yeah.
know, so it's pretty
Uh,
crazy.
but yeah, they and then we cut over to Rob. He gets to know Talitha some more in this scene, the medic woman, and he speaks very highly of his father as they're getting to know one another, and she kind of praises his father, saying how everyone loved him and everything else. And when they're walking around, John gets word that the Kingslayer basically escaped in the night, and the way that we left that scene at the end of the last episode, seeing this, you're like, what the hell? What do they mean he escaped, right? Because where we left it off, it looked like Catelyn was going to kill him, right? As she grabbed him by
Yeah,
the sword.
that's what
But,
I thought, and then I forgot the whole time jumping
but
stuff doesn't get delivered that fast.
yeah, but, obviously we're just fucking with the viewers' expectations in this moment. Something I'm not a huge fan of necessarily, but it kind of left us kind of with a cliffhanger at the end of the last episode. Then they you find you find out very quickly after that as he goes to speak to his mother that she let him free in that moment. And as we know previously, there was a time where Littlefinger came to see her and basically deliver that deal that Tyrion was kind of putting out there. If they let Jamie go, then they'll let her kids go in response, right? So she kind of defends her decision to Rob, saying like, listen, I have 4 children out there still that that aren't here with us, and I had to make this decision, and this is I stand by it. And he basically feels like she undermined him and fucked up his whole strategy in the war and everything now, and he's really pissed. And then he turns around and basically puts guards on her, says don't let her out of your sight,
Yeah.
and puts like around the clock guards on her, and she kind of freaks out, and she's like, Rob, Robert, whatever, like she tries to like get a response, like kind of getting back there, and starts apologizing. He just fucks off. He's really pissed about this, that she did this, and not even without his consent. Like she did this all on her own accord.
Well, yeah, he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know the plan. He didn't know what her and Tywin were talking about, right? So,
Yeah, so
oh,
basically,
sorry, Tyrion. Sorry, I mix them always up.
so yeah, so then he says to his men, like, let's send horses after Jamie right now to get him. Like, we're gonna track him down now, right? Because now he's basically on the run, right? But
On the lamb, yeah.
then we then
No, no pun.
yeah, we cut to the next,
Sorry.
and you find out that the person though that is with Jamie out and about is Brienne of Tarth. So she actually, I guess, Catelyn was smart enough to actually get her to accompany him back to King's Landing, right? In response to all this, right?
You know
So
what I noticed about this scene is that you know what? Honestly, uh, he's a tall guy, Jamie,
yeah,
right? But she fucking towers over him still. She's
yeah,
a big woman.
she is, she is.
She's a big. I mean, nothing wrong with big women, but she's like, dude. Could you imagine? Like us, we would have to look up for sure.
Oh,
Guarantee. She's got
she
to
is
be over
large.
6 foot
Yeah,
something.
she is. Yeah, she is over 6 feet. Yeah, and I mean, she actually was recently talking about that. I came across an article recently because she was also on the Sandman show,
Mm.
and I came across some article recently where she was talking about how they've been more accommodating even for a woman of her stature in terms of Hollywood stuff lately, where she's been cast in appropriate roles for her being like that. Is she is such a larger statured woman?
Well, yeah, it's all camera angles. You know that, right? I mean, as we found out, we find out all the time. It's all the way they set or the angle of the camera, right? They can make everybody look the same height.
He went on to do other things after this, like Star Wars, the new Star Wars trilogy she was in, as well as, like I said, she's in the most recent Sandman show on Netflix. So, and a good character in that. So yeah, no, it's been she's gotten some good roles after this, and she is she was one of the more beloved characters, I think, from Game of Thrones as well. Like a lot of people liked her character when she was on there. Also because of the fact that she is a woman, she is a bigger woman, and the fact that she's also a woman who's a knight in a time where there was no representation for that in this
Yeah,
show. So, like
yeah, straight up.
and as you can tell, she's already served two important people, right? Like she served someone that was supposed to be, who thought that he was rightful heir to the throne, like a king, one of the Baratheons, and
Yeah,
now she's helping Catelyn Stark, which again is like, you know what I mean, like an important house, right? So she's, gotten a lot of respect from people too in that sense, right? They've given her a lot of shots so far. So, and now she's
yeah.
asked to take Jamie back. So that's where you see them walking through the woods here and on their travels. And this is a moment where Jamie's a little playful with her, like in terms of his comments. Let's say, right? He's kind of making some interesting comments along the way. She's kind of like not giving in to him, and she kind of loads them up into a boat because they're gonna go across the water now. I guess they got to a point where they got to load up into a boat. She gets them into the boat, and that's the kind of the scene that we see here, right? Anything else you want to mention about that, or
Well, they something about a duo, right? One day if they're gonna fight it, she says, "Well, maybe one day you'll figure it, you'll find out," right? Because he was wondering how hard it would be to like, because nobody's ever beat him, right? In like those duels that they have, and she's basically, not saying much, but you could tell she's basically saying that she could do it because she says there's a quote that she says maybe one day we'll find out, right? Kingslayer, like maybe one day you'll find out, like in that sense, right? If
stay
he can handle his own against her.
stay tuned. Not just for that, but for this journey now that you two are going to be on. I'll
Yeah, I'm like they're on a fucking weird boat, bro. It's like no paddles.
I love this journey that these two are on. I'll just say that. Okay, so I don't
Oh,
want to
there's more of it. Okay, okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. I'm a big fan of what's to come of this them together in this moment. Okay, I'm not gonna say
Okay.
how long it's gonna be. I'm just a big fan of these two together at this time. Okay, so it does not really showing here because she's very shut down to him towards him. Like she's not opening
Yeah,
up.
she's very quiet, right?
Right. And she's just doing her job. Jamie, of course, is like, I'm fucking prisoner anyway, so what the hell do I have to lose? Like he's just kind of being escorted, so he's just busting her balls, right? But
He's using his charm. He does have a charm to him. I'll give him that much, bro. I mean, I mean, if anything, he has a charm to him. I mean, to persuade his own sister to sleep with him, I mean, he must have a charm.
and these two have something in common. They are both knights.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that too, right?
So,
There's some camaraderie, I guess, there, right? So
yeah, but he was saying that he was a squire with the last guy and he strangled him. It ain't gonna happen with Brienne, and I'm telling you that much. He ain't gonna be strangling her that easy or killing her that easy,
he
right?
was kind of taken aback by her size already in that last. When he was
Yeah,
in that last one, he's like, "Holy fuck, this is a beast of a woman that's here,
yeah.
right?" So
The
he's
way he says it too, it's just like nothing. That's a beast of a woman. Holy. If I was her, I would have punched him at that moment.
So Tywin, we cut to him. He's talking with his council there about how in 2 days Stannis is away from the capital right now. So they're edging closer and closer, episode to episode. He was about 4 days apparently before in the last episode.
Yeah.
Now he's 2 days away. And he's basically like, listen, we have to make a decision to march throughout the night. Like we're gonna leave now. We're gonna march throughout the night. We're gonna go there and we gotta aid them because they're in trouble, and I need to go and fucking help them out. And he's like, we got to make a move. Like he's just like, he's 2 days away now, and we got to leave here from our post, right? So,
Yeah,
to
we got to get there before they realize,
his
like,
whole
that.
focus has been with Rob this whole time, though, right? But now he's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is troubles are brewing in King's Landing, and he knows that Tyrion's there, and his daughter and everybody else, and he's like, okay, I need to bring my army now, right? Since Jamie's not around, the whole thing, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
he basically says Arya is to join them. She's gonna help out, and
I was like, where's she doing? Is she just going to serve them food and water and I guess be a servant?
well, he says to her, yeah, he says to her, like, make sure he doesn't get drunk the night before the battle. Right? And he kind of puts her on drunk watch essentially with his men because he's like, if he's too fucking hammered, he's not gonna be worth worth anything. Fight, right? Essentially, those men. So this is when Arya runs off and she starts looking for the man that still owes her a favor for killing somebody because I think she's trying to see if she can get her way out of this situation right now, right? Because she knows that Tywin's gonna go off, right? And his
Yeah.
name, Jeffin Higger. I don't know. I
Oh,
wrote it
yeah.
Let me see this here.
Hold on.
Jeffin.
Oh, hold on. I wrote it on the other side. I know I have it down too because I wrote it down. Jagan Hager.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it. It was very. That's why I'm a Jiffin.
No, I put you. I was smart. I put the subtitles on at that part.
Okay, yeah, because it's very hard to hear what she says. What's his name?
Jagan Hagar, like H apostrophe Ghar.
Hagar. Yeah. Okay, so it's Jagin though. Is his first name?
Jack. Yeah. I mean, it sounds yeah. Jack. It's Jaqen.
Okay,
There's
Jake.
no U, so it's
Yeah,
fucking weird, man. Like
Jaquin.
I don't know how to pronounce something without a U.
Jaquin. Yeah, I wrote down Jeffin because I couldn't fucking hear it. Because he's known as other things, this dude. So like that's why I was just like I never remembered this fucking guy's name because the way that he refers to himself as a man, blah 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 blah. Like the way he talks, like I always refer to him as something else as you come to know him later on. So I think I never knew like that was his name, right? But so that's interesting. So, anyways,
Yeah, I think you skipped a little bit ahead, but when he said that, because I think he said that after, because she sees all these bodies first too, right? That are hanging, all the bodies that are hanging as she's going out to go find them,
yeah,
right?
no,
I
not
was wondering what that is.
yeah. This she doesn't actually see him here. I was gonna say she runs to go find him in this scene, and like you said, like,
Oh, you're just yeah. I try. That's when I found out his name too. Is later on. That's why I wrote it down because I had to. I had to actually put literally the subtitles because I couldn't understand it. Like I thought it was just her accent, but no, the word itself is spelled so fucked up. I
yeah,
don't know how to pronounce a Q with a without a U after it.
when I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. Right, these are like a weird type for names.
Yeah,
But yeah, so then we cut over to Jon Snow. He's getting pushed through the snow as the wildlings prisoner now as they're making their way along like along a mountain top it seems like and the as well as his leader of the rangers there he's also in captivity with them and
yeah,
he's talking to him and it looks like he's trying to like drum up a plan of some sort as he goes to push him and makes him fall down the mountain like he kind of he's talking to him, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, because of you, all of our men are dead." And he goes to push him over the side, and he ends up rolling down the mountain as a result a little bit, right?
yeah,
And I think he's trying to give him an opportunity to maybe make a move on these guys or something in this moment in time. Because the way he was chatting with him right before he yelled that out, you can tell that they were kind of working on some sort of strategy. It seems like to get out of this situation, right? If they
yeah.
can.
But then I wonder. I couldn't understand why he pushed them. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like I didn't get it. I didn't. I didn't.
And
Maybe
everybody
okay.
and everybody kept walking though. So they would be so in order for someone to separate from the pack in order to get John back now, it gives them a kind of an opportunity to maybe overtake this other person, right? That's what I thought, anyways, in this scene. I
Yeah.
might be wrong. I don't remember what happens, but
I just thought he was being a dick, to be honest. But I don't know. I didn't. I couldn't understand it either. But you could be right. I don't know because it didn't
I,
really get too far into it.
that was my interpretation. So I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? But
Yeah.
then we cut to Braun there, Tyrion's boy. He's sitting there cleaning his nails, and Tyrion, obviously, as he's reading, is getting a little annoyed by this fact. Is he, do you have to do that here?
Yeah, I know. Ace filing his nails. That's not a little file, eh? Like that's a heavy duty file. That's something you would file wood and steel down with nowadays.
Yeah.
This guy's fucking doing his nails.
So,
I'm thinking, oh my god.
he's reading, and then he starts sitting there and starts to stare at him, and he's like, mind? Like he's like, what? I can't stare. I can't clean my nails. Like, what am I supposed to do? Because he's got fuck all to do, right? And
Yeah, Lannister's reading like
well, Tyrion's trying to
Tyrion.
figure out an idea because he knows that Stannis is going to be there in a couple of days, right?
Yeah, man.
Strategize, right? And this guy is kind of like, yeah, whatever. This guy's the leader of his he's the King's Landing group, right? Like
Yeah,
the golden whatever they're called, the guards or whatever, right?
yeah. He won't wear a gold cloak though.
I liked that. This is a very funny scene as they're
This is yeah, very good exchange between the two.
and you know what though he makes great points because the leader of the King's Landing I forgot what they're called but their group essentially the guards the
Yeah.
the, the royal guards or whatever, let's say, they're supposed to wear a gold cloak. So then
Yeah.
Braun is refusing to wear the cloak because he's giving him shit when they start talking about, hey, he's getting annoyed by him. He mentions the fact, oh yeah, I'm not wearing the gold cloak. He's like, for one, it makes people me stick out easier and people can see me. And it's like, and it's also heavy. He's like, I can't move as
Yeah.
fast, like in a fight. So he
Yeah.
makes points. I get what he's saying. He's like, why the fuck would I wear that thing? Like, I don't want to
But
stick
gold is actually lighter, you would think, than fucking steel or something. Wouldn't you think? I think gold is lighter.
any plate mail type like armor or anything like that. You know what I mean? Chainmail, anything that they would wear would weigh them down for sure, especially if you're trying to make swift moves with a sword. But it's
Yeah, I
supposed to
guess
be
so. Yeah.
supposed to be for your protection, right? Like it's supposed to also weigh it, like also so it's harder if someone were to like drive a sword into you. It's
Yeah,
supposed
it
to,
probably weighs more.
right. So I think he was just not down with it, and he says that, and they basically they agree to disagree there at the end. Oh, you're right, man.
Yeah, it's coming, bro. I haven't fucking had real coughs yet, man, but they're coming.
They agree to disagree. Where he's like, okay, fine, you don't have to wear the cloak at the end of this conversation. He's just like, all right, no cloak, Tyrion, right? He's
Yeah.
wearing it down essentially. He makes and then he like Tyrion's like reading some book about strategy and he says, oh yeah, well, this author he can't see the name, and then Kim and Broad are both trying to pronounce it. He's like Slavalesh Savatish, like there's like saying these names. They're
Yeah.
trying to say the name of the author of the book, right? And this is when Varys shows up, right? And what's his name? Braun makes a great point about, makes a joke about, I'd swap all your books for a few good archers in this war. I'll tell you that much, right? And then your boy, one bald, no bald Varys shows up.
No, Bald Varys, bro. He's the man, man. He's the man, and you'll figure out why, because later on in this episode, you get told why.
He mentions the fact that there's a decline in thievery in King's Landing, right? And then Tyrion turns to Broad. He's like, "Oh, really? Like, what's the reason for this?" He's just like, "Well, we rounded up all the thieves, all the known thieves." He's like, "For questioning?" He's like, "No."
We killed him.
Well, he's just like, and now we just got to focus on all the people that are unknown thieves at this point.
Yeah.
I
Let's just kill. Yeah, he just killed them all. That's the fucking best part, man.
Yeah, he's like,
Like,
now we
you
don't.
know,
He's like, now we don't have to worry about them. And then Braun goes into this explanation about how he knows how uprisings start in cities. Like he knows what he's doing. Like he's just very, you know, direct about it, right? Like he's just like he doesn't give a shit. Like he's
yeah,
very why like he's like, yeah, no, this is why I've seen this shit go down in cities. I understand that. He's like, I know that better than anyone. Like, don't worry about it. I got it. Like, but he's just
yeah.
so nonchalant about it. He's like, yeah, we just rounded them all up and killed them. He's like, no big deal. And Tyrion's just like, this is why people are getting pissed at what we're doing, right? You just can't just do that, right? Like he
Doesn't
wants
he
to
kind of?
book, right?
He kind of looks like what's his name in this one, this picture, Varys. Where is it? I gotta show you, share it
Noble
to you.
Varys.
Yeah, him in that scene where they're talking there. He kind of reminds me. Doesn't his face have like a fat version of fucking James Spader?
Kinda. Not maybe bald.
Yeah, it does, bro. I watch it only because I've been watching Blacklist lately, and it really does, man. It's really that picture there, that still shot made it work. Maybe in motion and stuff, but that still shot made it work. But that's the one where they're talking there,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he just shows up. Yeah,
So then Tyrion has like his whole map there, and he mentions the fact because is strategizing with Varys, letting him know where he's been working on. And he tells Varys, he's like, well, Stannis knows King's Landing. He knows it well. So he would know which places they kind of attack from. And he points to somewhere on the map that's called Mudgate. And he's like, yeah, if he were to come in, it would be from here, like, I think, right? So,
yeah.
and basically, Varys is like, okay, well, then what's our move then, right? And then they
This is
make
gonna be writing stuff from yeah. He said something about go on.
uh,
So,
they make a joke about throwing books at them, right?
yeah. This buddy there. What's the guy? The
Rod,
gold clothes.
Rod,
Yeah,
and then he's like, oh, we don't have enough books, and then and then he's like, yeah, we don't have enough men. He's like, and then Varys is like, what do we have? And like Tyrion's like, pig shit.
that's it. He just left it like that. Pig shit,
So
right?
it doesn't look good for them. Essentially, that's why it's looking like right now, right? It looks like they're unprepared for this attack, essentially, right? So,
I mean, dude, you got a bunch of ships coming over. You don't know how many people are on there. You're just guessing. You know, there's a lot of ships, but you don't know how many are on that ship,
very
right? And they're coming right from the water. If you got nothing to fire at them, you're kind of fucked, right?
yeah, it doesn't look good for them right now, right? They're sitting ducks essentially.
Because
So
I'm pretty sure they have some sort of cannons on the or something on the.
they're with pirates. They're with pirates. So yeah, I mean it's very
They would
possible.
have something, yeah, like but even stuff where they can shoot like long arrows from the sea, right?
Well, that would be one advantage they would have in terms of them being in that castle in King's Landing because it oversees everybody in the town. Like they would have to go through the town where all the fucking people that are pissed off at them are to get to them, but it's not like they're gonna actually get intervene. They're gonna probably just hide, right? Because they don't care. They want this them overthrown. They hate this right now, right? So I mean, their people
Yeah,
like them, and that goes a long way. If your people will stand up for you, right? They will not. These folks, right? They hate this.
yeah,
They're eating people in the streets in the King's Landing. Like it's like they're all poor, and this is the rich who basically look down on them in King's Landing. Like that, so
yeah.
it's crazy thing, right? Um, so
Literally, shit runs downhill.
we then catch up with Sam and the rest of John's buddies in the Night Watch that weren't with the Rangers that kind of went out, further past the wall to kind of look for the wildling.
I
And
didn't think they were alive. I thought they were dead. I was worried,
they're
bro,
not with his
till
group.
I seen Sam.
They weren't with his group. Remember, the Rangers went
Yeah,
ahead of them, which became Jon Snow as part of that group, right? And
yeah.
Sam stayed in John's place. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, go on.
all his boys are there and they're shoveling snow, and then they happen across a big stone. They happen across a big stone with some interesting markings on it. So then,
You know what it looked like? It kind of looked like markings from that chick's back,
oh
the
yeah,
one with the mask or whatever she was putting on that person's back in the
interesting.
last episode. Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
but he says they're from the first people, right, or whatever it was.
yes. So because Sam, of course, who's very read as well, is one of the other smarter characters on the show. He's read a lot of books as well, and he notices the interesting marks and basically gets them to kind of take it up off the snow, out of the snow and out of the ground there for him. And underneath, buried underneath the actual big rock, there they find a cloak that is a Night's Watchman cloak that obviously they hid underneath this big rock, right? And
Yeah,
they open up the cloak and there's some weapons and all kinds of different things in there. And amongst it, they find dragon's glass, which Sam is like very interested by. He's like, oh my God, that's dragon's glass. And of course, that means that was probably from a time when there were still dragons, right? And he's kind of very impressed by the fact that this is a rare thing to find, that they found this thing in the cloak, right? So, and more to come on
and
that.
what's it doing? Yeah, what's it doing with a Night's Watch guy? You know what I mean? Like, they look like little spears you add to the top, the bottom, like the end of your sword, right? They look like they can be really sharp.
Yeah.
Do I
Uh,
have it here? Hold on. I thought
yeah,
I might have had it.
bring it up.
I have it. Yeah, here it is. It's not the greatest, but this is what they have for me. Dun, dun, dun. It's very cool because it's a black glass, so it kind of looks different, right?
Mhm.
There they are. There, these little things here. They're kind of like arrow shapes. This, I guess, is just a horn to call, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, what
But
you talking?
these are the pieces.
Yep. Yeah, very
Pretty
cool.
cool.
Then
I
we
need to get me some dragon glass.
we cut back to the man that returns to Arya. What's his name?
Oh yeah, you could say it this time, Jackin.
Jacquin.
No, not even Quinn, because you can't even pronounce the Q like that. UN. It's just Jackin.
Jacquin. So he returns, and
Let's just say, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to ask.
Arya then
Ask.
asks him if it's too late for him to kill Tywin because he's already on the move. And he says, "This a man cannot do." Like basically because he's already left the vicinity, so he's just like, "Yeah, that's not gonna happen, right?" And then she basically like name another name or whatever. She's like, "Well, the girl gives the man his own name," and he's like, "You cannot do that," and he gets all like
Yeah,
upset.
he gets all angry. Yeah.
because he's like, you cannot name my own name. Like, that's like, you can't do that. He's like, yeah, yeah, I want you to kill yourself. Like, I'm giving you your own name. And he's like, no, no, you can't do that. And he's like, take it back. And she's like, okay, I'll take it back. But in return, I want
Take
you,
it back.
yeah, I want you to help me and my friends escape like this
Yeah,
area, essentially, right?
yeah,
So against his, his best judgment, like he's really pissed at the fact that she outsmarted him on this one, right? Because he's like, listen, I'm just trying to do you a favor, and he's just like, okay, if I do this though, like, he's like, you're gonna owe me essentially, right? Is the girl going to listen to the man or something like that? He says something like that, right? Yeah, essentially.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't have the actual quote. No.
But basically something like that. Like she's gonna basically owe him essentially. So he says, "Okay, meet me here at night and by the gates, and I'll get your friends out of here." So that happens. Okay, so we got a lot to cover here, so bear with me.
This is very, yeah. This is very because there's a lot of friggin' serious lines in this one.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of lines. Let me get through it here. Let me try to get through this. So this is a
All
great.
right,
Tyrion is dining with Cersei. Okay, and he
it's a
says,
big one.
I hear Joffrey's gonna be fighting in the war. And Cersei's like, he is not ready. His place is not on the battlefield. And then Joffrey's quick to mention, well, it's not on the throne either. Unfortunately, sadly for all of uh, and then basically Cersei feels attacked because you've already sent off my daughter. She says, you're sending my son into battle. You think I don't know what you're doing, right? So she's very defensive of this fact, right? And um, Tyrion basically says, listen, it's going to help boost morale essentially with the people, like to see him fighting in the war, right? And he seems, game as we learn later on.
Yeah.
She then starts to ask him about his whore and mentions, I wonder what her father will think about this if he comes, once he gets here, right? Of this one, have you married her yet? Like she makes comments like that, obviously referring to the fact that he wanted to marry that other one, that tragic story we learned about his father in the last horror, right? Where he ended up marrying her almost, but it was like all a thing to like trick him and make him look stupid by his father, right? And his brother. So to teach him a lesson, right?
But
And
didn't this all start with Varys? Why she says Varys is so smart?
yeah, she mentions that as well. Like
Why
she
he's
basically,
so dangerous?
yeah. Well, she says, she says, for him to hide his secrets more carefully, like she warns him, right? And this is the
Yeah.
moment we were all worried about, was the fact that she would find out who this woman was. And like you said, she's already threatened him by killing someone that he loves previous to this, right? In another episode. So we've been waiting for this moment to come essentially at this point in time, right? And she basically says, says that, well, no, this one you like though. And then she questions it as being love. He's like, oh, do you love her? Like, and it seems like she knows, right? She's got the drop on him about everything, and basically threatens her life for what may occur with Joffrey. Like she says, if something happens to Joffrey, I'm gonna kill this woman, like that you love. Like she threatens him again, right? And then she's like, well, where is she right now? She's right over here. And then it looks like she's taken her prisoner already. So then Tyrion fucking eyes like light up. He's like, oh fuck. Like as she motions for them to bring her around. Like she apparently already has her like, and like
It's gonna show her.
yeah. So then another whore comes out, the one that he sent to Joffrey, like one of the women that he sent to Joffrey, one of the women that he was with previously, came out, and then you could just tell right in that way his heart sank for a moment, and then Tyrion sees that it's the wrong woman, and then he has to do this whole charade where he has to pretend that he's upset because he doesn't want to make her think that it's not that woman, because
Yeah.
oh thank God, he's like, it's not Shay, right? So he goes up and he goes to her. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's done this. I will get you back or whatever. And he does this whole like fake act in front of her, like putting on a show, right? And
Yeah.
she has such a shit-eating grin on her face during this moment. She thinks she's got him right where she wants him, right?
Yeah.
And luckily the woman plays along. She's like, "Oh yes, sorry, thank you," right? Like she's just like, "No, it's like," and then he turns around to her after like she gets whisked away and basically says, he basically says, runs. What does she say here? You have it there. To basically, I will hurt you for this. He says to her,
Uh,
and he
you should
says
go. You forget one thing about horse. You don't buy them, you rent them,
that's right. Yeah, he does mention that too, because
right?
that's before when she thinks that she's barking up that tree about whether or not like he's in love with this one and what his what his plans were with this woman,
Well,
right?
I had the bro. I went quote for quote on this one. I went everything from
What?
why Varys is so dangerous, and then he goes because he has thousands of spies in his employ, and he goes no everything we do before everything. Sorry, employ uh, knows everything we do before we do it, right? And then she says because he doesn't have a cock, and neither do you. He says right back to her, right? So she's like, so who's like the dangerous one now? Like, maybe I'm dangerous, right? And she says he's so dumb, right? Because he's got, she says he's so dumb because half of his thinking is done with his dick,
Mm-hmm.
which is most of us, right?
That's right.
Most of us guys. At least I know more than half, at least.
Yeah.
Um, and she goes, she's got. That's when she said she had the little whore, right?
Yes.
Uh, But and you go, yeah, you forget one thing about horses. That's where I went off. You got forget one thing about horses. You don't buy them, you rent them,
Yeah.
right? Because he's trying to make it look like he didn't care. Yeah. But then he killed. But then he went. She went and did that with the other one, and he was kind of like,
Mhm.
it was kind of crazy, man. I was kind of surprised. That was a big scene for the the
Oh, it's a
the
great scene.
both of them together.
Great scene. Great scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best scene in the episode, I think. But then, but then after this all occurs, he runs back to find Shay
Back.
still in his room, like, and then he like kind of like almost like weeps in her like, in her
He
labor.
loves her, bro. He's in love.
That's what he says. He tells her like,
Yeah.
You're mine," and she makes her say it too that he's hers, and basically as he doesn't say I love you, but he makes it known, or I think he does actually in this moment, doesn't he?
I don't know if he says I love you
No, but he
100%.
says that I'm yours and you're mine
He's
type
in
of
love with her. That's what I
stuff.
wrote.
You can tell, yeah, you can tell. He runs back, like the worry on his face, just find her in his room there, and he basically just reiterates to her like we have to be very careful now. Like she's like onto us almost. Like we can't let her know about us, right? So
And
it's
it's kind of funny because she like she's right there too in the house, like literally with Joffrey's wife there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like she's that close, but she still doesn't know who it is.
right.
Right? He's keeping it really sneaky.
Yeah, no, great scene though for sure. That was a really good one. Some good quotes
Yeah,
in there.
that was a very good emotion and very good just way of writing it. Whatever they did, I thought that one stuck out to me big time.
Absolutely. No, it's a good one. Close one. Then we cut back to him. He's strategizing about next moves. Says Theon betrayed him and that he's going to pay for it. Then Talisa pays him a visit once again to see how it is. And he says that he wants to be a good king and he's having difficulty in doing so. Asks how she went from reciting Valerian poetry to sewing feet. And I think this is the moment that you were talking about last episode. This is where she really kind of gets into. She may have mentioned it in passing in that scene too, and maybe that's where I was
No,
missing.
yeah, she really gets into the whole part of her brother. She started that story.
Yeah, about where she was younger because she obviously came from like a more richer family where she was from.
Valentes or something. That's the called the Valent in the Valentes area. I don't know where that is. I wrote it down. I think I spelled it right, but
I think it's supposed to be for Valerians, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think that's what she is.
she tells a story about her life in. No, I wrote Valen. I would have wrote Valerian because I
No,
know
but I think
Valerian
that's where I think because she's reciting Valerian poetry to him.
poetry. Yeah, yeah.
So I think she's Valerian, is what I'm saying. I think.
Okay.
So of those people, basically where they're from, I get the impression. So she basically tells him the story about losing her brother almost when she was younger because he was almost drowned and she like lost track of him and then she found him like in the water, like drowned. And there was a slave person by her that basically helped like resuscitate him, right? Like it, pumped his chest, right? And he knew how to
Yeah,
actually,
kind of like CPR in that day.
yeah, he
Some fishermen. They
hit
look
on
like
his chest. It was a slave. and she said like the way that he pushed her out of the way was not proper in the sense of who she was. Like you don't see slaves touching like these higher up
The women,
people. And
yeah, with authority.
moment he was trying to save her brother, and she didn't really understand that, right? But yeah, she basically pushed her, and she said from that day on, she vowed to not waste her years doing shit with the other noble ladies, noblemen. That's what she was basically referring to her as women, and that she would never live in a slave city again. Because
Yeah,
Rob's asking like, how did you become this person, this caring person, this person that cares about people and like is so helpful? And then she explains this story where she was on the route basically to be some rich snob woman in her area. And ever since that moment where the slave actually saved her brother, she felt like she needed to contribute back and actually help people as well. And also not to judge, like, yeah, and not to be, with it, like in a place where they allow slavery, essentially. Like she was against it after that because a slave saved her brother, right?
yeah,
So yeah, that was a really good story. And like in that moment, like he just sits there and like listens to her tell this story, right? And you could see like the love in his eyes. And by the end of it, he basically says like, I don't want to marry
the other chick.
Frey. I don't want to marry that Frey girl. And she's like, well, I don't want you to marry her either, but you got
Bang.
yeah, you got a pretty nice bridge out of it. So, you got a nice, beautiful bridge. Hopefully that bridge is beautiful, right? And she turns to walk away. Yeah, he grabs her, they start making out, and then yeah, they bang.
Ass and titties. That's what I wrote. More ass and titties. Finally, it's been a while.
But you know that she kept visiting him like every episode, right? Like she's kind of getting very, very familiar with him, right? So it
Oh,
looks like
very.
he's down to marry her now. So it looks like that's that, right? So him and Talisa.
Rob's become a man.
So at this, I think he had already. I think it was
Oh, I know, I know, I know. I'm just fucking like because I'm now, I figured he's not like John, but no, but yeah, no, I just, he fucking looks, like with he did this with authority, like you could tell this was him being that fucking king, yeah.
all right. So got a bunch still to get through here. We're coming up on an hour. Arya at the gate at night with her friends is the next scene. She approaches the gate to find the guards dead because it looks like they're standing there the whole time and they don't really know what to do in this moment. But then if they find out that they're actually just propped up and dead, the guards, and it looks like the man already killed these people for her. And as a
Hmm.
result, her and her friends were able to run out the doors and escape essentially this situation, right?
Finally.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we cut back over to Stannis now. He's
Who's
with
he with?
Sir Davos.
Davos?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I wrote it right. Nice.
yeah, there you go. You're remembering it. So Davos is basically like his hand, essentially. So they're basically almost at King's Landing now, and Davos mentions the fact that they're probably going to get there within a day's time now if they do everything right. And he's really impressed by everything that he's done, Stannis, on their journey there. And he basically says, praises him for his hard work. And they both talk about being underestimated in their lives, like how he said that people like that he was a crabber, that he grew up with crabbers, and people didn't really want to touch them and this kind of stuff. And we know that Davos was a smuggler, and like again, I think people underestimated him because of his past but Stannis acknowledges like how useful he's been and how good he's been to him. And as a result, he says, like, once I take the Iron Throne, I'm gonna make you my hand to the king. Like, essentially, you're gonna be my hand, essentially, at that.
Yeah.
Like, really honored by this, right? And they have a moment like about that. He says, "You're gonna be the first crabber to wear a badge to him," essentially, right? Because again, and Stannis also said like about how he was underestimated too in his past when he was coming up, right? So like I think they both are, he recognizes him in that sense, like where he's coming from with that, because he kind of feels like he's kind of like a lowly servant compared to him, right? And he's like, no, you've done a great job, right? So
Yeah. They made a reference to the onion flag
yeah.
on the boat. Yeah. I didn't know it was an onion, man. I didn't really know that there was an actual onion on their fucking flag, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, I mean they're running out of symbols, these guys, I guess, right?
No, fuck, man.
Then we get to another great scene there with Tyrion here. Tyrion is walking and talking with Varys and Joffrey. Joffrey's upset that Varys
Finally see Joffrey, eh?
yeah. Joffrey's upset that Varys doesn't have any more news for him from the north. And Varys just basically in defense says, like he's gotten nothing back from his birdies because, they said the time Ever since Theon has been over there, he hasn't heard anything back from them that area. And Joffrey basically says, the time. He says, sorry, Joffrey says the time to attack is now for everything that's going over down in Winterfell, right? And
Yeah.
Tyrion kind of taken aback by this. He's like, you are aware there's a siege that's about to occur here, right? He's just like, yeah, you know what's going on right now, right? He's like, Stannis is coming right now. And Joffrey says, hey, listen, if he comes ashore, I'm going to go out there and greet him. He's like, I'm just going to go roll up to him. And he just fucking storms off. This guy's so full of himself. He just thinks he's just going to go out there and approach him and squash this thing, right? And
I
Joffrey,
think so badass.
yeah. And then Joffrey jokes to Varys after he walks off. He's like, oh, yes, I'm sure Stannis is going to be very afraid of that.
Yeah, like really.
Now. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, great. Like this is a great plan. Right? So then he basically says, Tyrion says to him, like says to Varys, listen, we're both intelligent men. So basically, they start to converse, and he's like, he asks him, like, really, what do you want out of all this? Essentially, he just asked Varys straight up, and he's like, well, listen, Varys tells Tyrion to start if we're gonna play this game, right?
Mm.
Varys says he is, Varys then praises him when he starts to talk about all this. He says that he's good as a hand to the king. And not only that is he good, that he enjoys the game and is good at playing it, unlike others. And Ned is referenced in this moment because he wasn't willing to play the game and everything else, right? Which is kind of really why it became his demise, because he wasn't really ready for all these
It's too
untrustworthy.
good.
Yeah, exactly, right. And and he thanks him for saying that, and he agrees that he likes playing the game and he knows that he's good at it, right? Like he's acknowledging all this, Tyrion, and he basically says like he would like to keep playing it, but if Stannis attacks, it's all over. Like he basically
Yeah.
references the fact that his father, he likes having the power since his father put him in this position, right? Like, and he knows that if Stannis gets there and attacks them, it's all over, essentially,
Yeah.
right? And then
Why are
there's a
all the gods such vicious cunts?
yeah, they say that. And then there's another great one here as he mentions about your boy there, Darius. He mentions in the Summer Isles they worship a goddess with 16 teats.
Yeah, like what the fuck? He goes, "Where's the god with fucking tits and wine?"
Right.
No, it's straight up, man.
Well, yeah, that's what Tyrion says to him, right? He's like,
Tyrion's a
"Oh,
badass.
in the Summer Isles, there's a god that they worship that has 16 teats." He's like, "Oh, really? Yeah, interesting." you know,
Oh my god. I think that's an animal. I don't think that's a god, dude.
Varys then says that he's gotten word that today, though, obviously something he didn't tell Joffrey, that Daenerys lives and that
Yeah,
she
like Khaleesi's, yeah.
dragon, right? And basically he references that, but then he also says it'll be years till they actually have to worry about that, till she actually makes
Small.
it to King's Landing. And
Well, and they're small dragons too, right? Like, too. She do it goes one game at a time, basically.
exactly, then Tyrion says, "Yeah, one game at."
I like how they keep referencing these games, how they keep referencing it as a game, you know? Like,
Game of Thrones, like it's
yeah,
what
no, I get, shut up. I get that part, okay? I'm not that stupid. Come on, man. But I mean, I just like how they use it so much in the show, like as that's the way they look at it. It's not people's lives. To them, it's just a game.
it's people power playing one another. Yeah, it's basically
Yeah, sword fighting.
or old school politics. It's fucking
Basically,
awesome,
yeah.
but it's just dirtier, right? Because they
Yeah.
kill each other, right? I mean, like so. Anyways,
Uh,
uh, Jorah, we cut back to him. He arranges a captain and a boat for him and Daenerys to escape the situation that's going down in Quarth, right? Daenerys,
he really wants her, eh?
how
Fuck,
many
dude.
times has he tried to whisk her away at this point, right?
I
Like
know. It's crazy.
Daenerys in response says, like I can't leave my children here, referencing the dragons. And he kind of tries to bring her back down to earth. He's like, listen, they're not your kids. They're dragons. You need to get the fuck out of
He
here.
looks at her like this.
Yeah, we got to get on the boat. Right? She tries
He
to
actually, this is exactly that scene, bro, when he looks at her and straight up, it's just straight up
yeah.
looking down and telling her, listen, we got to get out of here. Oh, that's so funny. I don't have the exact scene there. That's funny.
So in response, she basically says, like, listen, if you want to go, you can go. I'm gonna stay. Like, I can't leave without my children. Like, she's very stern on that, right? And then she reminds him of the miracle he witnessed with her walking into the fire. Says, have you forgotten about that? And he says, I'll never forget about what I saw in response, right? And she basically,
Yeah.
she then asks of him, okay, then take me to them. So it looks like these two are on their way to the House of the Undying, folks. Looks like that's where they're
Yes.
headed because we know that's where the dragons are, right? So she basically says, like, you can leave if you want, but this is what I want, and I'm not leaving without them. So you're going to accompany me, and you're going to take me all the way to the House of the Undying to get these dragons back. So looks like that's what we have look forward to in the coming to the conclusion of this season, everybody. So that's very interesting, that storyline.
I would like to see, yeah, what happens there. It'd be interesting because it would be very interesting. You know what I mean? I've been waiting to see what this Undying place is since we kind of talked about it, touched on something similar earlier. So
Uh,
hopefully that's what the whole third season's about.
we'll find out.
Yeah,
And
we'll
then
find out.
Theon tries to give gold to the farmer for the setup because he's talking to his man, the one that's been helping him, essentially his right hand man. And then this is the scene where you find out that they set those bodies up, and what the bodies actually were that were hanging there were the farmers' boys that they referenced previously when they came across that farmhouse, Bran and them. And it looks like they actually killed the farmers' kids and strung them up to confuse people into thinking that they actually caught them. So this guy had
I
innocent
didn't know.
killed, not even the people he was chasing. And then he turns to his buddy there and says, like, here's the gold for the farmer to pay him off for what we ended up having to do as a result. And he's like, oh, we already killed him. He's like, you don't have to give him any gold. He's like, we had to silence him. What do you think this is? Like, he's gonna go and talk. And then Theon's kind of taken aback by all this at this point. He's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
obviously this guy's leading him by the nose. Like, this guy's the puppeteer in this kind
tier.
of.
Yeah, that I was gonna say puppeteer,
Yeah. So, anyways,
but I didn't
that's
know they were the farmers' kids. I didn't realize that. I didn't catch that part. That's crazy, man. That's fucked up.
that's what I mean. You don't really get it. It doesn't click in that other scene in the last episode. It's just that you could tell they came up with an idea. And then the next thing
Yeah,
you know, they come back with these bodies and they're like, oh, we caught them. But we didn't see that happen. So what do you mean you caught them, right? As viewers, right? So this is ended up, anyways, the Grand Maester, who's a part of Winterfell, he overhears this conversation being had. And he, I guess, figured it out for himself after overhearing what they're talking about. And then you see that Osha is actually in hiding with them in
yeah.
town, literally in the town. They came back and hid in one of the fucking houses in town, which is a kind of a smart, like one of those last places you look type of situations, right? Like they knew if they came back and they think they're on the run, they're not going to look for them in the actual town. So they're
Yeah.
hiding in like a house in town, and then the Grand Maester guy knows that she's hiding in there, so he goes back. I guess he's like giving her food and stay, or she's coming in with like some bread and stuff there in the scene, like Osha. She's like coming in and bringing food to them, and they think that Bran's asleep around the corner with his brother, but him and Rickon are actually awake. And he tells her what happened with those children, and he's like, "But don't tell Bran. He'll only blame himself for what happened if he hears this." And then you see that they're up, and he heard that this had happened as a result of them being on the run, right? So he obviously feels a way about that, and he was the person in charge. He was appointed that, so he kind of feels responsible now as a result, right? In that moment,
Yeah,
so
but you know what? It wasn't really his. You know, it wasn't his. First of all, I don't blame him for it. I understand where he's coming from in his head, but you know, uh, it wasn't his fault, man. He's a fucking kid, dude.
yeah, I know.
You
I mean,
know,
we don't know how he
a
feels. We
crippled kid too. On top of it,
just tell by the look on his face, though, that he's gonna like he's right that he was gonna take it hard, right? Because of when it ended up happening as a result of all this, right? But and that's how we end the episode, guys. That's you find out luckily that they're alive, so that's nice, right? Because that's another cliffhanger they left us with the end of the last episode. Now, I actually didn't get to ask you because I wanted to talk about what happened this episode. Jay, were you convinced that either of those things happened at the end of the last episode? Did you think Jamie was going to get
which
killed?
ones?
Did you think Jamie was going to get killed? And did you think these were the kids that were hanging at the end of the last episode? Did you actually think that was the case?
No, because I didn't see the kids get caught, so I didn't think it was the kids. I just didn't know who the fuck it was. Cause, and then second of all, when Theon looked at it at the last one, right?
Yeah.
He was kind of shocked in a sense. I think I don't think he was expecting that. So I have a feeling then that you know that was something that caught my eye. Now that I think about it, right? And also to your other point, which was again, what was the other
Well,
one?
did you think Jamie was gonna get killed at the end of the last episode?
No, but I didn't think she let him go
Right.
right already that quick. Like I they didn't even show that part. They She just comes back and he's on apparently gone, running away, right?
So in that
So
way, it's
now they're
interesting how
both on the lam.
they
Like
made
poor itty bitty Lannister, sorry, Tyrion. Poor his plan is kind of shot now in a sense because nobody's got bargaining chips. Now it's gonna end up having to be a war. I feel like.
well, that is what's happening, right? We are seeing that happen.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see what ends up happening. And we got two more
but
episodes to go, guys, for the end of this season. So it should be really interesting the next couple.
what did you think about it? Did you think it was them when you first seen it the first time? Like when if you can go back and try to remember that far ago, that long ago when it first came out originally, do you remember
I would,
thinking?
yeah, I would say the Jamie thing I thought was going to happen more than the kids thing because you're right. We didn't actually see that happening. And because of the way that they were talking about planning something or like they came across something in that scene, and then the next thing you know, we see these bodies. I didn't think that was genuine. But I will say the way they ended it with Jamie talking all that shit at the time, I probably thought he was gonna get killed after she grabbed Brienne's stores. But I thought it was just gonna be one of those things that we had to wait to the next episode for, right? Because like the way they ended that, like he was talking mad shit to her, like about her fucking bastard son and how he cheated on her. Like so, like at that moment in time, if I had to guess, I will say like I don't remember my reaction back then 100%, but watching it this time, knowing that that's not what happened, I still was just like, oh yeah, that the way they ended that, I was like, that did not look good for him, right?
Well, yeah, I didn't expect him to be killed so soon. Like, and I don't expect him to be killed so soon because he's one of the main characters in this so far. So, I mean, I don't expect him to get killed off that soon and maybe that easily. I think I see him more in after when Brienne made that comment about maybe one day you'll find out. That's when I'd like to see him more in a fight with somebody or her or something like that, and see him die that way, if
Sure.
that's the case, right? If he dies, I mean, I don't even know, right? But I'm just saying, if I was to guess, or if I was to, want a way of them dying, that's probably the way I'd want him going, right? Maybe her kicking his ass, right, and showing him up or something like that, protecting, the Starks or whatever she's doing right now. So, yeah, no, I just and like I said, also that friggin' monkey helmet. I'm telling you, bro, it's some sort of monkey helmet, man. They got it from somebody. It must have been trade from the south. You know what I mean? The guys from the island, they have animals like monkeys there and stuff. I bet you. So, I mean, I'm just speculating, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool to think
The
to
things
that
that
it's a
you're speculating on, I can't believe it. Well, there you go, guys.
well,
Monkeys,
it's
Jay,
fun.
monkeys,
You got
monkeys.
to put this picture up there.
Yeah, that'll be the picture for this episode for sure. Will be that. I will say it is a striking moment and it is an interesting looking character in this episode for sure. But
Yeah,
all right,
I
guys,
don't think they had clay moldings back then.
that's gonna do it for this episode, though. Where you went a little bit over an hour in this one. We try to keep it under an hour,
Sorry.
guys, but there was a lot to cover in this episode, as you can tell, as we're getting towards the end of this season. If anything, it would usually, I would think some of the longer ones would be closer to the finales, probably for us, and especially if we're gonna have guests on, which are going to be coming in season 3. We're actually going to start having our first guests on the show as well, guys. So
Wow.
really interesting. But I think we got a good rhythm going now at this point, enough to bring people on, and that's when it gets really interesting. So that'll be great, guys. All right, guys. So we're gonna see you guys next time. What's the next episode, Jade? You got the next episode name there, or
Yeah, Blackwater.
Blackwater is going to be episode 9 of season 2, guys, and you can look forward to that the week after this one airs there for you. So we'll see you then, and thanks for tuning in as always.
Thanks, guys.